everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all doing well. Now, I was just about to move on to my next project, but I could not move on following the last video. I'll link it here if you missed it. We got some crazy, wild, but stunning effects using the J. Diction Eco Resin, the Resin Crete, and the homeware design pigments. Now, this went completely skew-iffy, but I love them. And so many of you gave me advice, and I think the majority vote really was oxidization and the fact that J. Diction Resin Crete is pure watery substance. It is so watery, and there is a chance that basically the pigments had time to separate, and all of the pigments that made up that latte color just had time to come apart, and that is why we got some discoloration, which I fell in love with, and I really want to try some new pigments. Now, there was also questions on the pigments. These are specifically designed, handmade for Jesmonite and EcoPores, but bear in mind that J. Diction Resin Crete is relatively new to the market. These may not have been tested on this product. However, we have discovered some stunning effects using the Resin Crete with them. Now, also Jesmonite is thick and gloopy, like seriously thick. The viscosity is completely different between the two products, which is why the Jesmonite in my last video held that latte color, which is what I was going for. So I figured before I move on, we are going to just do some more testing. I am almost completely out of J. Diction's Resin Crete. They have offered to send me more, but for now I only have what I have, and it's not a lot. I decided to go for colors I rarely use, really super bright, pink or citrine. Now, I did choose one or the other, so hopefully I chose the one that you would have chose. I weighed out and measured out my Resin Crete as per instructions, and that is 1 part water to 3 parts Resin Crete. Then it was time to get a mix in. I got my bowl out and I started adding the powder. Again, I'm just adding small amounts of powder into the water and making sure that it is well and truly stirred in. There's definitely a difference between the EcoPore I've used recently and the Resin Crete. The EcoPore from Just For You online definitely dissolved quicker. The powder dissolved quicker and clumps were non-visible throughout. Very much a watery, chalky texture like a plaster, whereas this Resin Crete definitely needs a bit more of a stir to get rid of those lumps and the clumps, but again, minimal lumps and clumps compared to Jesmonite. So they've all got their own little thing going on, and once I'd mixed it all up, it was time to add in my pigment. I did choose pink. I did choose pink. I tried to give some thought on what pigments go into making these colours, and quite frankly, my brain wouldn't go there. So I figured they're both probably filled with various pigments. Just go for the prettiest colour. And I went with the Vivid. Now, the Vivid pink is beautiful. I started pouring the Resin Crete into the same exact mould that you would have seen in the last video. Now, it was at this point I knew I might not necessarily have enough of the product to fill up that second dish. And actually, where's the benefit in filling up that second one? I decided to swap it for different levels, so either chunky and deep or shallow, and you know, all of that. So we've got kind of a variation. I grabbed the mold top right. That is a tea light holder from Just For You online. They sent me that when they sent me over their EcoPore. And then we've got this gorgeous new cactus mold that I got from my Temu haul, and the mold on the right also from Amazon. I absolutely love this mold. So now we've kind of gone for a combination. Now, I could have done 2 different colors, but we'll see how this one works out. At this point, I am keeping all fingers crossed for failure. I am genuinely wanting a happy accident to happen again. So now we've got the thin wall but deep. We've got the bit of a chunky one. Then we've got the cactus, which are just around 1 centimeter deep. Then we've got the pendants, which are super shallow. So we're going to test it across the board. And like I said, fingers crossed for failure. So I kept the conditions the same. I demolded roughly 35 minutes after pouring, pretty much on all of them. The temperature was around about the same. So I feel like if it was like a proper experiment, the varying factors were all the same. So this is what they look like on demold. And I actually put this on a time lapse. I actually sat it all out, left the camera running, and I went downstairs, had a cup of tea. I was gone around about 20 minutes. This is crazy sped up for you. Of course, you won't know that because it's just in one position. And honestly, oh, guys, I see no change. I started to feel as though the top of the pink bowl was getting darker, and then I started thinking maybe I'm just imagining it. Because I wanted to fail. I wanted to succeed at failing. And instead, I've ended up almost failing at failing, if that makes any sense. And of course, it's not failing. It is another happy accident. It's a lesson. Nothing is ever a failure. It's always here to teach us. But this is the one time, guys. The one time. If you've been with me a while, you know that none of my videos are perfect. Why now? Why now? Why does everything just have to work out and stay pink? But yes, the bowl and the tea light, all pink, everything very, very pink, as I guess it should be. But I was kind of hoping we would get exactly the same result again. That gorgeous ombre, crazy colours. And it was at this point I was thinking, can I see purple? Am I imagining it? Can I see this darker top to the bowl? Like, is it going dark? Is it just my imagination? So I left it another 10 minutes and absolutely nothing changed. Nothing changed. I put you on another time lapse and nothing changed. So I guess it was a fluke. We had a fluke. We had a lucky jammy experience in the last video. It might just be that one colour, but if you have tried any other colours, please let me know, because if I had all the product and all of the time, I would do this again in a heartbeat, and I would test all of the colours to see if we could get some of those magical ombre effects again. But in this video, it was not to be, but this was just to kind of follow through. I needed to follow through. I needed closure. The pigments are still in my heart. They are wonderful pigments. Everything will be listed down below if you are interested. Thank you so much for seeing this through with me, for giving me the closure that I needed. And sadly, we've got a pink pot. I mean, it's still pretty, but it's not purple, blue, ombre pink, is it? It's not. Anyway, I hope you found this helpful, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.